Hey, BCC membership. Welcome back to another edition of Dishin It with Dan. My guest today, some of you may know, is Mr. David Lowe. Mr. David Lowe, congratulations on being here for the 7th episode of Dishin It with Dan.
It's my pleasure.
I don't know if it's congratulations, but I'll take it. I know you like red wine, and I know we talked about bringing some imported wines in, so Ellie's been working real hard on a new list. So this is our Bordeaux blend. It's a little Vermont, so...
Very good. So this is going to be wine by the glass.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's one
That's
of the
good.
new ones that you put on there. Got good flavor to it. A little earthy, but I
nice.
like it. All right, so we're going to make this one a little bit different. I know you're a recent member of the House Committee, and I know there's been a lot of questions asked, and a lot of times I don't really get to talk to all the membership. So I think this is a really good avenue for maybe you to ask some questions, being new to the House Committee, that I can answer. And I know you got your ear to the ground because I know you and your wife are quite avid here at the club. So let me start off by asking, how long have you been a member?
Sure. Well, we're just about to celebrate our 6th year here. We moved in to the neighborhood August of 2017 and joined the club immediately. In fact, we picked the neighborhood because we wanted to be part of this club. Picked it because it was a very family-oriented club, and our whole family plays golf, and it's been a great choice.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The club's grown a lot over the years, for sure. And even in the 2 years I've been here, I've seen so much growth and of course a lot of changes. With that being said, what are some of the questions you're hearing that I can maybe get out to the membership and answer for them that you've been hearing?
Yeah, sure. There's one that probably is I hear more than any other. And it really is pretty timely with the fact we got a new menu coming out and there's some really nice dishes on there. But the one thing that I hear that I've observed myself, my wife has observed, is the consistency of the food. Is some days you come in and the dish is prepared exactly right, exactly the way you've ordered it, comes out great. You might come in the next day or a few days later, order the same dish, it's a completely different dish and it's not as good, it's not prepared correctly. So I know we've talked about this a number of times. So what are you doing to address that consistency?
Sure. And consistency for us is there's so many layers to it, right? I mean, when you go to a typical restaurant anywhere in the area, their main focus is their dishes, right? So that pasta that they've been doing that pasta for 7 years. So it doesn't really stray. We change the menu, at least try to change the menu every quarter. So our team is constantly having to evolve. Now, when it comes to the consistency aspect, it's great if I had a team that was, together for 4 or 5 years. Unfortunately, with times being the way they are, kitchen staff is very hard to come by. So we've had a lot of turnover in the kitchen. And with that being said, the kitchen staff's been kind of short. So the goal now that we're staffed, we brought in 4 new staff members in the last 2 weeks to help us out, which has been tremendous for us. Because what happens is if those staff members aren't on the line, that means my chefs have to work the line. And it's hard to keep an eye on the food and hard to keep an eye on every single dish that comes out if they're in the corner prepping somewhere for a banquet because we don't have staff to do the prep. So the inconsistencies come in the fact that my sous chef, aren't standing in that window to make sure every single dish comes out right. The other thing we've done is we've gotten rid of the food runners. We used to have 4 or 5 kids that would come in, 18, 19-year-old kids that would run food for us. And don't get me wrong, they did a phenomenal job. But what we've done is we pivoted. So now we brought in more service staff to help us. And with that, we've had the service staff actually become the food runners now. So if you're a server waiting tables one day and I'm running your food, I want to make sure the food's right for you because eventually the next day you're going to run food for me. On top of that, the staff as a server knows table numbers and seat positions much easier, much better than most of these kids that are just coming here to run food. So we've made an educated decision by pivoting and saying, okay, all the service staff's going to run food. We're going to make sure that we're getting to the right table numbers, the right seat numbers, and on top of that, we're entitling them to make sure that if it's not right, if it doesn't look right, to push it back through the window and look at the chefs behind the line and say, hey, guys, this isn't right, we have to make it. A server who relies on this as their mainstay and as their job is more apt to push it back than the kid that's just taking a plate to a table.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, because the servers do make a really big effort to get to know the membership. We really appreciate it. And by the way, we've seen definitely a big improvement in that is the staff making an effort to learn the membership names and not just asking us for our numbers. So kudos to you and kudos to them. So they're doing a good job. I think that's a smart decision, a smart change. Hopefully it'll make a difference.
And that was one of the things too, a lot of what we do is we listen, right? We have to listen, that's what our job. This isn't my club, this is your club. So for us, if the membership comes down the pipeline, and they have in the past and said, hey, listen, we don't want to be that number. We want to be the name. And I look at my staff, and it's very easy for someone who's in a rush to be like, what's your member number? Because we don't want to make it wrong. We don't want to charge you for somebody else's meal. Right. So it's very easy to get in that mindset of, let me just get the number. Well, let's learn the people. There's more coming down the line where we're going to take pictures of the membership and we're going to post them on our system so that when the server goes in and sees Lowe and it looks like you, we know it's David Lowe and not Chris Lowe, whatever the case may be. So there's initiatives coming down the pipeline that we want to make sure that the membership gets involved in and says, hey, let me get my photo in there to make sure that they can call me by my name.
Sure.
And we're also doing dialogue with the staff to say, hey, listen, how do you approach that situation? If you're a new server, hey, I'm brand new, I'm trying to learn your name. We remind me what your name is again. Or a lot of the staff who've been here for a while, they're kind of concierge. And they say, hey, just so you know, that's Mr. Lowe. And so we can approach the situation and say, hey, Mr. Lowe, how are you today?
Well, we'll remind them they shouldn't be afraid. I love it when they ask, what my name is. It just shows a level of attention. It shows a level of care. So, tell them. If I don't care how many times they ask before they remember.
You got it. We'll make sure it happens.
Yeah.
So what else are you hearing?
You mentioned something interesting. It says you listen. You're listening to us, and that's another thing. Is you talk about the surveys that we've initiated and the survey forms that we all get every time we come to the club. One of the thoughts that we've had is are you really reading them? Like, there's no acknowledgement. We might submit a feedback that's not very positive because we had a bad experience, and we never hear an acknowledgement. So we're not sure if you've even read it.
Sure.
So how do we know that you're actually?
Well, I'll tell you, I get every single one of them every day. Sometimes I get up to 40 a day. So it's very time consuming, one, to go through them, and two, I try to get to the ones that are super egregious. The other thing I do is I contact my staff. So if you had an issue the night before, I'll email my staff and say, hey, what happened with this? And I forward it. And then a lot of times they'll tell me, I went to the table, I talked to them, I spoke to them, this is what happened, this is how we fixed it. So a lot of those are stuff that my staff is getting to that I know about already, and I'm positive or assuming that my staff has had that conversation and has made the situation better. Now, if it's a really bad one, I'll pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I'm so sorry, what happened? How can we make this better for you? Sometimes it has to be an investigation as well. Like if it's something like foodborne illness, right? Someone says they came here, ate, and they got sick. Well, okay, what did you have? I'll investigate into that. And then I go to my staff and look around. I pull menu mixes to see who else may have eaten that dish to make sure that nobody else got sick. And sometimes it's a one-off, right? And sometimes it just doesn't sit in people's bellies right, or sometimes it's something they ate before they got to us. So it's a lot of kind of making sure that we're doing things properly. We do line checks twice a day. So they do it in the morning, they do it at night to make sure that all the product is fresh and that we're doing things to spec. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the surveys, it really is, I get back to the ones that I feel are really egregious. If my staff has handled it that night, then I kind of stay away from it. Typically anything under a 6, I'll investigate and make a phone call. And also, I want to piggyback on that too. All the surveys that the membership has been doing, those surveys are going to a subcommittee. And that subcommittee is going to break it all down. They're going to analyze it. They're going to look through it. They're going to go by age, by gender, by where you're eating, what you're eating, as far as food and beverage is concerned. And then they're going to bring that to the board, and then the board will take it from there, and they're going to present it to the membership.
So you're saying the surveys are working?
Yes,
they're making a
yes,
difference.
I think so.
And they're really important.
Oh, 100%. And when I talk about listening, you can hopefully attest to this. I think it was your second or third meeting on the House Committee. You had said, a lot of the people in the House Committee said, well, we don't have enough European wines, French, Italian, Chilean, whatever the case may be. And I said, okay. I took my notes and got with Ali the very next day and said, hey, this is what we're talking about. And Ali did an amazing job. She went back in the menu mixes, she did spreadsheets, she analyzed the data. She came back and said, you know what? She goes, I don't think I have enough on there. And honestly, it wasn't even the fact that she didn't have enough, it wasn't priced properly. No one's gonna buy an Italian wine at $80 a bottle. right? So we said we got to get more wines, we got to get better pricing, and we got to put more on there. Hence the reason we're drinking the Vermont Bordeaux. But we really, from that meeting, took it and ran with it. And I think she put 12, 15 new wines, imported wines on the menu. So, what I would like everyone to know is that we do hear you. Menu changes. We want to see more fish. We want to see more salads. We want to see more of this. I put more fish on there. I got lobster rolls on there now. We put on an extra salad. We put 2 featured salads on there. So, we do listen, and a lot of people want specific things, but we want to do 4 menus a year. So we want to kind of spread it out. We're not Cheesecake Factory by any means. We can't do 7-page menus, but we're going to develop menus that we want to listen to the membership and make sure that we can execute out the kitchen. Sure. So, you got anything else?
I think the only other thing, we were talking about the staff quite a bit. We've seen, I really enjoy the staff. I like to get to know them. I hate when we see people leave.
Yeah.
I know we've had a lot of churn. Just how is the staff doing right now?
Staff's in a good place. We're actually getting better candidates right now. Like you said, you see more people that tend to be more knowledgeable, tend to want to try more, tend to want to learn your names. So we're getting a better group of individuals that are coming and applying. The front of the house has been fantastic. They're coming back out of the woodwork. They want to work for the club. Again, back of the house is a different beast. But yeah, the staffing levels are good. We staffed the Cabana right away this year. The Cabana staff has been amazing. We've gotten a lot of great feedback on those kids. They're going to start dropping off and going back to school, but we're getting them back for the holidays. And I think I brought in 4 or 5 new servers. And we're just hoping to hold on. This is a fickle business. If you don't like something in one day, you can go find something else. I did a study within 8 miles. There's 67 eateries within 8 miles of the club. So there's a lot of choices out there, not just for the membership, but for staffing as well. When you have an influx of restaurants, it really does. It can really hinder or it can help you.
Well, I love the Hawaiian shirts at the Cabana.
I wanted to do it last year, but I couldn't get to it fast enough. But I found a really cool company. Next year we're going to do a different one too. So I want to keep the Cabana shirts.
I feel for those kids. It's so hot over there, so I think those shirts make it just a little bit cooler.
It does, and they like wearing them too. Last year it was hard to get them to tuck it in and put it on. So I think they really got behind it too. But listen, again, I really enjoy you coming in and talking to me today.
I'm
glad you got to ask the questions this time, so I don't have to worry about it. But again, if anyone has any further questions, please like and subscribe. Leave comments, ask questions. If anybody else wants to come and join the podcast, please send me a message. I'd love to have you on. Mr. Lowe, again, pleasure as always. Yeah. And we'll see you at the club soon. Thanks.